So we figured we'd talk a little bit before Chris plays for you, and I think the best place for us to start is when we reconnected, as you were beginning to write some songs that were reflecting where you were at in the moment after George Floyd was murdered. And Chris began writing a whole new batch of songs. So I don't know, we'll just sort of freewheel this a little bit, but do you want to talk a little bit about the impact that had on you at that time and how it really spurred you to be very, very creative?
Yeah, sure. You know, last year, I think we all found ourselves, except those of us who are in the emergency services and doctors and that kind of thing, which if you are, thank you so much. But a lot of us found ourselves still. I found myself still after 20 plus years of touring around and making records and just going. And the thing that really just came crashing in for me was here I am writing record after record and being a songwriter and being creative. But that moment of the first 3 or 4 months of the pandemic last year, of the storm of sickness and uncertainty, murder in front of our eyes, in a way that folks, I think, really never recognized because everybody was so busy. It's like, oh, another black person was murdered and they're on the streets again, and now I'm going to go back to work. But last year felt different to me. And because of that, because of the outpouring that I saw, it really forced me to sit down and recall my own personal timeline with intolerance and racism, and starting, from the time I was really young, as far as I can remember.
Talk about that. Talk about growing up. Talk about the experience of growing up with of mixed parentage as well. So you got to see two sides of the same coin.
I did. And I mean, my mother and father, two of the most beautiful people I've ever met in my life, loved each other tremendously. My father followed my mother out. They met at Michigan State in the Midwest. My mother came out here in late 60s, and my father followed her out. They had, shortly after, had me, and my first memories of my parents were my father singing to my mother, and feeling that love and feeling what music could do to shift the energy in our house, the vinyl records, and seeing them smile, and somebody putting a record on, and then all the love that would surround that. And then I remember being around 5 years old and my mother waking up screaming and there being a cross burned on our front lawn. And this is Pasadena, California. I mean, Southern California, palm trees, and everybody's getting along, right? So my parents combated that, and I saw it firsthand as a child, with wanting to embrace the community even more and trying to bring people together. They wanted to be an example of love and tolerance. And so they didn't go hide in a corner. They went outside. We had barbecues in the front yard. My dad would invite all his friends over. We'd play soul music. I mean, and it wasn't to do this to anybody. It was to say, come on in. This is just what you don't know. And here, my mother was an educator. Here's this white woman with educator friends, professors and teachers, and they were all mixed in and mingling and having a good time. And so they wanted to be an example of what tolerance through love and acceptance looks like. And I saw that growing up, and it was just mind-blowing for me. It's what made me want to become a musician, because I felt like if I could even represent a piece of them, a piece of what they're doing through music, and maybe make one of these records that can actually bring people together through ideas and music, then I'll have a good life, and I'll be able to look back and say I left something behind.
Let's talk a little bit about the music that was around you when you were a kid, the music that you were listening to, the music that your dad was playing. What did you grow up around?
Well, I mean, my dad brought, basically like, Etta James and Solomon Burke, and one of the first black country artists named Arthur Alexander. He listened to a lot of underground jazz and soul and gospel. He grew up in the African Methodist Episcopalian Church in the South. He and his brothers and sisters made up the choir. He was the youngest of 10. Yeah. And
Choir in the house.
yeah, choir in the house. So my father had this rich baritone voice, and every time he'd open his mouth, my mother would just melt. Just melt. It was just, I'd watch it. It's just like, oh, there goes mom again.
Right. But I have a feeling you also thought, well, that's a pretty good thing to have going on. That.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And my mother was, was in the more folk and rock and roll. I remember Led Zeppelin and everything from Joan Baez to, all the kind of great folk music that was coming out of the scene in the 60s. She was a part of that. And the interesting thing, my mother would always sing these folk songs and talk about race and talk about the fact that her and my dad are together. And she said, Chris, I never even actually saw a black person in real life until I went to college. And I went, wow. And she said, yeah, I grew up in Michigan. And then I was just surrounded by all this culture. And it was like I had seen a couple black people on TV. And she goes, and then I met your father, and all I saw was his beautiful heart. And she said that to me probably 100 times in my life, especially after my dad passed 20 years ago. She keeps talking about his beautiful heart over and over again. And for me, that's something that I always remember. And the music it would really bring people, it would really bring them together in a way that anything could be happening around the house, in the world, and the music would take them, to a place where they could feel a place of refuge, a place where they felt safe together within their love, and that's what I saw as a kid.
So when you started playing, what was the idea? Did you want to write your own songs straight away, or did you want to play other people's songs? I mean, what did you set out to do?
I just really loved singing. I really just the practice of singing, expressing myself through my voice. I started in church choir, and eventually got involved in community theater, and then I noticed I started getting the good roles, the starring roles, and so I said, oh man, I must be all right. And then I started forming groups, like bands, from the 5th grade on, and most of them were really not good. But we just pick up instruments. I mean, I was playing saxophone in one, and drums in the other, and bass in the other, and singing in some, and eventually, I think it was actually around that time, 5th grade, I landed a TV show.
What was the show you were on?
It was called Kids Incorporated.
Okay.
Yeah, anybody remember that show? Yeah. Yeah.
So that was your first taste of people really sort of taking notice of you outside of the house, right?
Right.
Or outside of the community.
Right, but it was deep. Like I got this part, and I played a kid from Togo, from Africa, and I had a full robe on, and the kids were. I don't think this episode would ever fly today.
I don't think so.
They were teaching me how to speak English. They were actually, yes, Stacey Ferguson was then known as Stacey Ferguson, now known as Fergie, from the Black Eyed Peas. She, literally in scenes, they were holding my mouth and teaching me how to speak in English. And so, at the time, 10 years old, I was happy to be making $500. It seemed like $1 million. And really happy to be on TV and be able to tell my friends I was going to be on TV. But looking back,
right.
It was a really, not really great way to start into TV, into acting. So that was the only TV acting I ever did.
So songwriting, when did that come to you?
That started, my godmother gave me a gut string guitar, her old Yamaha guitar. And I started playing it and writing. And
what were you writing about? How old were you, by the way?
I was around 11 or 12.
Okay.
And I was a pretty deep, introspective kid. I'm an only child. Had a lot of time alone. My mother worked 3 jobs, and my dad was in a couple towns over at this point. so I was reading a lot of Langston Hughes at the time, and mostly Hughes, and I'd really write these poems and about the moon and the stars, and then I started getting into more poems about the human condition and that kind of thing, which Langston did so well.
Now, that's really unusual because most songwriters I talk to, they usually talk about writing songs about girls or boys, depending on which side of the spectrum you fall on.
Yeah.
But
I did have a song about a Lamborghini, I think, when I was in the 6th grade. Yeah.
how did your songwriting develop? I mean, you've been doing this a while now, and I want to talk about your recent album. But how did your songwriting develop from there once you became a teenager and were actually going out and experiencing performing in the world?
Yeah, I had a lot of great teachers, incredible people around me that would just kind of take me in as a student and really teach me the craft. That started with a man named John Butcher when I was young, and John basically, I'd go to his gigs and pull at the back of his jacket until he finally let me play tambourine and sing background for him. And then I ended up traveling all over the world with him, and he's become like an uncle to me over the years. And then I got a gig with Sonia Dada when I was 19, and really, those guys really embraced me and really taught me about how they crafted songs. I went to college. I studied jazz studies, but that was more technical. It wasn't songwriting. Really, for me, it was kind of trial and error. I just always made sure I created the space and took the space, a little chunk out of every day, to be open, to be vulnerable, and to write down the deepest stuff that I could, and then turn them into songs. But the songs really, for me, come in every which way. I leave myself voice memos. I have hundreds of voice memos of me going, hundreds that sound like that.
So I'll get back to that and write some words later on.
Yeah. But sometimes I just practice. I just sit in a room, pick up the guitar, or sit behind a piano, and it just comes out.
Who are the songwriters that you admire and respect, either from the past or maybe even present?
Well, I mean, McCartney definitely, his
No
body
slouch.
of work, yeah. Solomon Burke, the stuff that he wrote, I really loved. Al Green, I think, is a great writer. Any of the stuff from Memphis and Muscle Shoals, all those guys and gals were just writing their butts off. Bill Withers, the simplicity of his melodies but yet how deep some of the thoughts are. He's literally writing about in songs about his wife leaving him because he's drinking too much, and it's like you think you're in a party listening to the song.
Yeah.
And I actually got to meet Bill a couple times. Funny story.
Tell us.
Yeah, I was at the Roxy Theater in 2007, and a Billboard magazine article had just gotten written. And it was comparing Bill Withers. It was comparing artists that were coming out on the scene, and I think I had a record deal at the time, so they were probably doing publicity. And it said, there's this guy, John Mayer, and this guy, Chris Pierce, and this other guy, and they all listened to Bill Withers. So Bill was like, I'm gonna come to this young man's show and check him out. And so I'm sitting there on stage, and I see Bill, and I have probably 7 or 8 Bill songs just down, ready to go at any time. And I choked. I couldn't do it.
No.
I couldn't do it.
No.
I was so nervous I couldn't play it. And I was looking at him, and he was drinking his wine, and he was just kind of like, checking me out. And so afterwards, I went up to him, and I introduced myself, and I said, Mr. Withers. He said, call me Bill. And I said, all right. I said, I have to tell you, I was going to play one of your songs, and I did it. And he goes, I'm glad you didn't. And I go, oh, man. And he goes, no, I love the rest of your set, but, man, I've heard so many versions of my songs, blah, 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 blah. And then right before he passed, I saw him at a birthday party, and it was about the space like this, and I'm about this far from the door. And he walks in late. Can I curse in this?
I think you can, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there by the taco truck, eating a taco, and he walks in, and I hear this, Chris Pierce, come here and give me a hug, you big motherfucker. And I ran over, and I was like, Bill Withers, oh my gosh, Bill Withers. He's like, oh man, I remember you. How you doing? So anyway, it was really cool to reconnect with him, and may he rest in peace.
He's here somewhere.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you're planning on cracking out any Bill Withers covers.
I
tonight.
don't know. I might choke. Yeah.
Let's talk about the songs that you've been writing in the last year and a half. Let's talk about American Silence. Let's talk a little bit about John Lewis. You mentioned the thing we did across the road this morning about your dad meeting John Lewis.
Yeah.
Let's sort of tie these things together a little bit into the music that you've written in the last year.
Yeah.
And then I think we're going to let you perform.
Yeah, so American Silence. It's a collection of 10 songs, and it goes, some of them autobiographical. It starts with American Silence, which is a song about complacency and combating that. It goes into a song called Sound All the Bells, which is really a timeline of things that have happened to me during my life, from the cross burning on the front lawn to...
Can you tell us a little bit about some of those things as well? Because I know you mentioned them this morning, and perhaps some people also heard them. But when I hear you talk about these things, it's devastating. There's silence, and it's usually a little awkward, because it probably should be. But just share those things that are in that song.
Yeah, first I should probably preface it with saying that I have a family on both sides that have been law enforcement, military people, and to me, it's what makes some of these stories even more devastating, knowing that I have family members that may have turned a blind eye to some of these things happening, that I know are good people and I love them dearly. But yeah, growing up, being around, my first thing I remember after is being in the bank with my mother. 5th grade, maybe. I was around 5th grade. And the candy store was next door. And I'm standing in line with my mother. I'm getting bored. Actually, no, I wasn't standing in line. I was in the car. And my mother was standing in line in the bank, and I was getting bored in the car. So I went in the bank, and I walked up to my mother, and I reached into her purse to grab $1 to get some candy. And the security guards tackled me, 2 of them. And I was a 5'10", 10-year-old, scrawny, black, but that gave them no excuse not to at least ask me a question before they did that. And so all of a sudden, my mother is beating them on the head with her purse and demanding to see the manager, demanding that they get fired. So that was the first thing. And then growing up, we had some groups around my high school, skinhead groups and that kind of thing. And there were a few incidences of some friends of mine hanging out on a Friday or Saturday night, eating some hamburgers at the In-N-Out Burger. They pull up guns and bats. The bats have KKK written on them. And we're armless. And we go running, and there's literally bullets being shot, and I'm thinking I could get shot in the back at any point. Then I went to college. My first year in college, some guys pulled up on me and were upset. I was in an interracial relationship of my own in college, and they were upset about it. I ended up getting stabbed because I wouldn't back down to them. I got 2 of them down, though.
Of course you did.
Yeah. But yeah, but they came at me with a knife, and I didn't know what to do, and so I fought back, and one of them got me. Ended up in the emergency room. And then it just kind of goes on and on. I mean, I've been just being pulled over. I got pulled over trying to go to my mother's birthday last year. Moving into my house, I'm fixing a screen on the first day I'm there. Cops come up with the guns drawn and don't know who I am. And then my neighbors, days later, come over with a cake saying, "I'm so sorry, we're so sorry." And this is the way I met my new neighbors. And we're dear friends now. We've really worked it out. We've done a lot of work. I asked them where that came from and why they do that, why they called the police on me, and they explained in a way that I was comfortable with accepting. They had some history and some background. She had been physically attacked by a man of my size and my color. And he felt bad that he wasn't around for that. And so they decided to call the police on me. So I forgave them for that. But the point is, all of these stories, what do I do with them? What would I do with them if I wasn't a musician? You know, and that's what I always think about when I go in to write a song. This is not only an opportunity, but it's a responsibility that I have to speak truths my own truths, my personal truths, and offer a perspective in the most authentic way possible. So anyway, so that's that song and what that song's about.
And as you can tell, like there's a lifetime of experience that goes into these songs. It's not just like, oh, let's write about this now.
Right.
It's everything. It's your life.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. All this kind of came crashing in last year to me, and I had always just kind of, I got to keep going. I got to get along with people. I got to, I just have to keep moving. And I've never really, I'm 48 years old, and I realized I had never really sat down to deal with it in a way that I felt like I was taking care of myself and feeling like there was any healing involved. And so this whole album was a way to do that for me, selfishly. But in the same regards, I feel like it was a way to also put something out there that may be a little uncomfortable at times to listen to, but some ideas that I feel like need to be heard.
Before you play, I think it's also worth pointing out that, again, we spent so much time together yesterday. We talked about a lot of things, but one of the things that we talked about was that you feel that things are beginning to shift. You've been out, you were in Nashville, I think?
Last week, yeah.
Last week?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that experience and why you feel that there is, this time it's different.
Yeah, Nashville is a great example of what you're talking about. For the past 20 years or so, maybe 15 years, I've wanted to go and play at this festival called Americana Fest. And I've never applied because I just didn't feel like I'd be accepted. And then this past year, I felt like maybe now's the time that not only I can be accepted, but there could be people of all different, it could be this beautiful treasure chest of gems and diverse people of all different nationalities and orientations that will be there. And sure enough, I get there and everybody I talked to, I kept hearing, it's different now. It's different now. And I even went to a beautiful, beautiful event called the Black Opry House last Friday night. And it was in a home in Nashville. And it was all black people, country, folk, roots artists sitting around, supporting each other, and feeling comfortable there. And not only that, but there were gay, trans, queer, that whole community was all there too. And it made me realize that these folks, the reason they're identifying with us and are here is because they haven't been accepted either. And so this was like a safe house for all of us to make music and to be together. And then it empowered all of us to get out there and do our showcases, to do our radio interviews, and to really talk about this music in a way that we've wanted to for a long time, because a lot of this music we created, our ancestors created. You know, the banjo comes from Africa. A lot of people don't know that.
That's right.
Yeah. So, you know, it was a really beautiful time and a beautiful place and a beautiful space. And I felt like it was a very tolerant there in Nashville. And I'm really looking forward to going back and hanging out there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think I've talked long enough. I know that he'll probably talk a little bit more in between songs. So I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me introduce Chris Pierce.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much. Well, I think I should probably start out with, we talked so much about Sound All the Bells, the second song on the album. So I think I'll start out with that one. You can write me a letter, call on the phone, listen to the trouble I've dealt with alone. I can lead you on the path it's not my job to do. If you really want to change, the answer's up to you. Ain't no drill, it's time. Sound all the bells, shame it, face it, damn it to hell. I wrote a song with some friends, wound up in cuffs on the street, and all the cars rolled past, slowed down so they could see. And my love and I sat for dinner at the shore, and they stood over our table with words to start a war. Ain't no drill, it's time. Sound all the bells, shame it, face it, damn it to hell. One time a cross was burned in our own front yard. I was only 5 years old, but it sure left a scar. The time that bullets flew past my back into the night, or that violent arrest without putting up a fight. Ain't no drill, it's time. Oh, sound all the bells, shame it, face it, damn it to hell. Ain't no drill, it's time. Sound all the bells, shame it, face it, damn it to hell. You say you can't imagine how it could happen to me, but when the dust all settles, will you fight for liberty? Ain't no drill, it's time. Sound all the bells, shame it, face it, damn it to hell. I've got too many stories where these come from, and mine ain't so bad when you think about some. Too many didn't make it to live to sing another song. Let their spirits be the wind to help us right the wrong. Ain't no drill, oh it's time. Sound all the bells, shame it, face it, damn it to hell. Ain't no drill, yo, it's time. Sound all the bells, shame it, face it, damn it to hell. Oh, shame it now, face it, damn it to hell, yeah. Shame it, face it, damn it to hell. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So happy to be here. It's just been so beautiful. I've been wanting to be outdoors all day. I kind of forced myself to take a nap at one point, but I'm happy. It's going to be a good night tonight. I'm looking forward to hanging with everybody and being a part of the festivities. I could feel the energy just from this morning. It's just, it was up on the rooftop. I could feel it right when I walked in. It feels supportive, it feels open, it feels vulnerable, it feels brilliant in so many ways, and I feel like I'm surrounded by just incredible ideas and generous spirits, beautiful minds, beautiful hearts. So thank you for opening your hearts to my ideas and messages and my songs. I've had a long career of music, so I'm going to get into a few different records and different songs. I'm going to start off with a couple from American Silence and get into that. We talked about George Floyd earlier, and there's always a thing for me when watching the news, which I try not to do too much, but how surprised the news media seems every time that folks get angry and are out on the streets. And it's like they don't understand the cycle and the trauma of hundreds of years of trauma, of just that. And a lot of folks don't have music and guitars to pick up. They lift their voices in other ways, and some through uprisings and that kind of thing. And it always just surprises me. They say, oh boy, they're out there. Can you believe they're out there? They're out there again. And I wanted to write a response to that through a song. And it's called It's Been Burning for a While. Woke up this morning, saw that smoke up in the sky. A crowd of people watching, asking who and how and why. Flames are rolling down the city, rolling for a mile. How'd it get so bad, you ask? It's been burning for a while. You say it's in the eye of the beholder. Well, I'll just go and check. Now there ain't no chip up on my shoulder. That's your boot up on my neck. How'd these flames go so far, you ask? Now they've gone 1,000 miles. I've got a news flash for you. It's been burning for a while. It's been burning for a while down here. Glad you stopped to see. And ain't no water gonna douse it down until you hear from me. You say it's in the eye of the beholder. Well, I'll just go and check. Now there ain't no chip up on my shoulder. That's your boot up on my neck. They say it's in the eye of the beholder. Well, I'll just go and check. Now there ain't no chip up on my shoulder. That's your boot up on my neck. Ah! It's been burning for a while. 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 It's been burning for a while down here. Glad you stopped to see. It ain't no water gonna douse it down until you hear from me. Until you hear from me. No water until you hear from me. Until you hear from till you hear from me. All right. Thank you. Thank you. A lovely soul came up to me this morning and said how much she loves this next song, and that it's actually done some positive things in her life. So I didn't want to let the night go without playing it. It's from my first album. It's called Bye Bye Butterfly. Life goes by in the blink of an eye. Tears won't bring you back tonight. I'm gonna celebrate love with hope in my heart. I don't wanna fall through the hole in the dark. I can't go where you had to go. I don't know what you needed to know. All I can do now is let you go. Bye bye butterfly. Painted horses, red and brown, round and up and down, where childhood memories are found. Bye bye butterfly. I can't go where you had to go. I don't know what you needed to know, and all I can do now is let you go. Bye bye butterfly. Let it rain, let it shine. Everything has got to change. Bye bye butterfly. Let it rain, oh let it shine, let it shine. Everything has got to change. Bye bye butterfly, bye 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 butterfly. You got to be strong and hold your head held high. Don't let the devil take your hand too tight. He'll take your power away from you and leave you empty like a blown out fuse. Let it rain, oh let it shine. Everything has got to change. Yeah, bye bye butterfly. Everything has got to change. Bye bye butterfly. Let the angels fly with you tonight. Oh, bye bye butterfly. Let the angels fly with you tonight. All I can do now is let you go. Bye bye butterfly. Thank you. Thank you very much. Around the same time I wrote that song, I was around the year 2000. Some of you weren't even born yet. Can you believe that? I love saying that. No, but I was working as a bouncer at an Irish pub on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, and awful job. I don't recommend it. I didn't really have the disposition for it. I could get people out of the club and do all that and defend and disarm and all that kind of stuff. But I got fired because I was trying to counsel too many folks. I was like, listen, you're better than this. Where did you grow up? And And the owners of the pub didn't like that too much. They wanted me to just grab them and take them out. So that job only lasted 2 years for me as a bouncer. But I did get a beautiful song out of it. And this song I wrote after one of the shifts. I'd get off at around 4 in the morning. I had a motorcycle at the time. Wow, I can't believe I'm even still here. And I'd ride it through the hills on Mulholland and go to the little guest house I was renting. Old Hollywood actress named Clarice Day du Beauvais. She was an actor from the 50s. She was renting me her guest house. And I called my friend Marvin up that morning, and I said, Marvin, I had this idea for this song. It's about internal beauty. And he said, let's meet for breakfast. And so we met for breakfast, and we sat down, and 15 minutes this song came out. And miraculously, this song took me around the entire world. This song, it got picked for a couple commercial campaigns. It got picked for a few TV shows. I got to play it in front of Seal, and he heard it and took me on his world tour as his opening act. And it just goes on, and it all came from like standing outside of an Irish pub like this. So it's called Are You Beautiful? You never know when you meet someone, will she be the one? You never know. And I wonder to myself, are you beautiful? Are you beautiful? On the inside, on the inside. Are you beautiful? Are you beautiful? On the inside, on the inside. You never know. When you kiss someone, will she be the one? And you never, never, never know. Oh, I wonder to myself, are you beautiful? Are you beautiful? On the inside, on the inside. Are you beautiful on the inside? On the inside. Well, have I been fooled and hypnotized? I just want to see the truth in your eyes. Are you beautiful? Are you beautiful? Are you beautiful? Are you beautiful on the inside? Beautiful on the inside. Yeah, I wonder to myself, have I been fooled and hypnotized? I only want to see the truth in your eyes. Truth in your eyes. Are you beautiful on the inside? Beautiful on the inside. Da, 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 da. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh man, I'm so unprofessional. I've realized that I have my harmonica still in my bag. So let me tell you this story. 20 years ago, my father passed away, and he was just an amazing man. Like I said, he had a beautiful, beautiful heart. He was a very striking individual. He had a lot of energy. Um, his family and my mother and different people would always say that he could shift the energy in a room when he walked in, depending on how he felt. And that's a powerful responsibility, and I think he actually knew that and was always trying to bring light into situations and laughter and that kind of thing. My dad passed away on a Saturday, and I had a gig scheduled that night. And I was distraught and upset and confused how he could pass as young as he did. And the only thing I knew to do, I was living alone, was to write a song. So I wrote a song, and I went to play the gig that night, and I played for about 4 hours, but I honestly can't remember any of it because I was just so emotional. But I do remember that I played this song that night, and it was the first song of the set that night. And I've played it at just about every show for the past 20 years. My father was a big train person, and my grandfather was a porter in the South, a railroad porter, Tatum Pierce, and the father of 10. He'd wrestle alligators and bring them home for the family, and he was an amazing individual. They have pictures of him with the alligators. Anyway, true story. Anyway, this is from my pop. His birthday was yesterday. It's called Static Trampoline. Do you laugh for the moment when the moment couldn't care less? And how can I, and get me some of those rose-colored glasses. Maybe then I'd, and maybe then I'd let it be. I jump so high, I'm in too deep. On this static trampoline. And how do you push when you don't want to lose it? 'Cause you know once it's gone, once it's lost, it's so hard to get it back. You better believe that. How can I get me some of those rose-colored glasses? Maybe then I'd let it be. I've got too much to do, I've got too much to say, and I jump so high, I'm in too deep on this static trampoline. Static trampoline, static trampoline. And time sings to me so bittersweet. And time trampoline. Have you ever jumped so high you've ended up too deep? And then you looked around every corner for something, somebody, some moment, some lover to take you higher. And then all you do is you fall flat on your face, and you gotta pick yourself back up again and get back in the race. Oh, well, that's a static trampoline. Oh, this static trampoline. On this static trampoline. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So this next song, I'm going to kind of verge back to some songs from American Silence. Oh man, yeah. This song is about it's about the 4th of July. It's called the Chain Gang 4th of July. It's about those who aren't free on the 4th of July. And I was thinking about things like wage theft by employers, which is one of the biggest forms of larceny in the United States, and yet it's not even called a crime. Then I was thinking about, you know, my cousin who robbed a liquor store, who got put away for 25 years. But yet, the fact that we call one act blameless and the other act a crime is like this archaic social construct that doesn't fit in our society, in my opinion. So I wanted to write a song about it. It's called The Chain Gang 4th of July. Look, here come Marvin doing 25 for robbing a store full of 5 and dime. He worked all his life, he had his wages all stole, but they say that ain't no crime. Look, here come Rudy with a shovel in his hand, doing 15 for selling a bag. Where the banker took his green, now the banker makes the scene, waving a big old flag. What does freedom mean to them? What does freedom seem to them? On the Chain Gang 4th of July. Yeah, Chain Gang 4th of July. Look, here come John, been slaving since the dawn. He's doing life for breaking a man. But when the jailer shoots his gun in his caddy just for fun, oh, they give him a retirement plan. What does freedom mean to them? Oh, what does freedom seem to them? On the Chain Gang 4th of July. Yeah, Chain Gang 4th of July. The flags waving on the courthouse this sunny summer day. Oh, just like old Betsy Ross sold. It don't quite mean the same when you're shoveling tar on a hot stretch of blacktop road. What does freedom mean to them? Oh well, what does freedom seem to them? On the Chain Gang 4th of July. Yeah, Chain Gang 4th of July. Oh, what does freedom mean to them? Oh, what does freedom seem to them? On the Chain Gang 4th of July. Yeah, Chain Gang 4th of July. It's a Chain Gang 4th of July. It's a Chain Gang 4th of July. It's a Chain Gang 4th of July. All right. Yeah. So I feel like I'm in a crowd where I can try out. I can play a song live that I've never played live. Is that all right? This is from American Silence. It's about residential schools, the residential school system in the United States, which is a gargantuan tragedy. And it's a really heavy song. I've never really felt comfortable until now to play it live. I felt comfortable playing it in the studio, but I really feel like you folks will get it. Yeah, this is called Residential School. They took the mountains, they took the plains, and every damned old tree. They took all the animals, last thing they took was me. Now I'm in the residential school, learning all about the golden rule from folks who killed my mom and then my pa. Grandfather, my grandfather, we ever come for me? Flying across the prairie, wild, strong, and free. Out my dormitory window now, I see snowflakes flying by, dusting the empty prairie beneath the moon so high. That priest down the hall has a plan for me, I know, but I will not agree long as prairie winds will blow. Grandfather, my grandfather, will you ever come for me? Flying across the prairie, wild, strong, and free. High across the wind I hear his distant warrior cry. Dust in the empty prairies, beneath the moon so high, but it's just another whistling train, rolling through the night, and hours of halls I have to mop before the morning light. Grandfather, my grandfather, whatever will I do if you will not come for me? I swear I'll come for you. If you will not come for me, I swear I'll come to you. Thank you. Thank you. This is the, I've got a couple more for you if that's all right. I know it's getting a little chilly. I'm actually getting a little chilly. No, not that chilly. But thank you. Thank you. I run hot, so it's like as soon as that's turned on, I'm going to be like hot yoga up in here, you know. But thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate you opening your hearts, your minds, your souls to my music. We all have a story to tell, and I'm just so honored to fly up here with Nick, to not only get to talk about some of my own experiences, but to get to share my perspective and my unique voice through music. And I really appreciate you all being open to listening with your hearts. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Will you rise up when your comfort is in jeopardy? Will you resist justifying the complexities? Is simplicity convenient in your quest to pacify? When you look in the mirror, can you see your own disguise? Can we sing a song for you? Will music move your heart and mind? Will our song arrest you? American silence is a crime. We see the music move you as you lay your burden down. And we feel the music grip you as your heart is soaked in sound. But when the song is over, if you decide to clap aloud, will your applause mean anything with stitches on your mouth? Can we sing a song for you? Oh, will music move your heart and mind? Will our song arrest you? American silence is a crime. We sing for the freedom. We fight for all it's worth. We sing for humanity so we can all walk the earth. We sing with honor to live to sing another song. And we'll sing through the pain, and we'll keep on marching on. Can we sing a song for you? Oh, will music move your heart and mind? Will our song arrest you? American silence, American silence, American silence is a crime. Yes, it is a crime. Oh, it is a crime. It's a crime. Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to leave you with this. I played it this morning, and I thought it would be appropriate. It's about John Lewis, the great, late great American statesman and civil rights leader. I told a story this morning about my father meeting John Lewis in Florida in a liquor store when he was a teenager before he went to college, and how he felt like through John Lewis and people like John Lewis doing things like crossing that Edmund Pettus Bridge that day and really sacrificing with blood and courage, he felt like it would be a place where it would be possible for him to have a child with my mother and for me to be able to live in a society where we could stand on the shoulders of greats like John Lewis and emulate some of his wisdom and tolerance and compassion and love. And I really, really, really hope that we can find a place here and everywhere where we're not running and fighting and murdering the things and people that we don't understand, that are different than us, that we embrace authenticity, and that we open ourselves up and are vulnerable enough to do that. That's what John Lewis did, and I wanted to leave you with this song, and I thank you so much for listening, and I've got 8 CDs in my bag. I always give them away when I'm traveling. There was the bus driver from the terminal in Salt Lake City, and he was a music fan, so I gave him one. And then I met some people in the terminal from Seattle, and they were really nice, and I gave them one. Anyway, so I only have 8 left, but I do have 8. If you want to grab one, I'll be back at the table, and I'd love to meet you anyway, and talk to you. And if there've been some things that I've said and sang that you don't agree with, I'd love to hear about that as well, and have civil discourse about it. So I'm here for that as well. This is called The Bridge of John. Thank you again. Finally reached the riverbank. Been walking all night long. But this ain't the place for getting tired. I'm gonna walk some further on. The river here is dark and wide, but I'm gonna make it to the other side. I'll tell the world until my voice is gone. No, I ain't stopping, babe. I'm walking on. The man in blue said, stop right there. This bridge won't take you anywhere, but laid out flat beneath the lawn. But I ain't stopping, babe. I'm walking on. 'Cause babe, I'm just walking across the river to something true. And maybe, or just maybe, you could be walking too. These drops upon the pavement here are still my gift to you. If you look real close, look in my eyes, you'll see you're bleeding too. And these drops, they make a question mark about all this light and all this dark. Now what the hell are you gonna do? I'm just walking, will you be walking too? Oh yes, baby, I'm still walking through the light into the dawn. And baby, I ain't stopping. I'm walking on. So let the rich man turn his back. The hobos by the railroad track still sing a song that's ringing true. Well, what does all this blood go and ask of you? Now this bridge is made of sweat and steel, and the stars still turn on heaven's wheel. And I keep walking, I keep walking on through the night into the light of the dawn. Yeah, lace up my boots, I'm going across. And do not weep for pain or loss. Do not weep for nothing that you feel. Just rise up and walk. I swear the hurt will heal. And don't kneel beside my casket there. That old box ain't going anywhere. I'm moving through the night into the dawn. I ain't stopping, babe. I'm walking on. No, I ain't stopping, babe. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all so much.